Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really fundamental for any company managing merchant risk. Should you build your own automated underwriting system from scratch or, buy one off the shelf?
Yeah, and we're basing this discussion on a really insightful article from NMI that tackles this build versus buy dilemma head on.
It really frames it as setting up your defensive wall against financial risk. So getting this decision right is pretty crucial.
Absolutely, it's foundational.
Now, we've talked before about things like cost, compliance, the usual factors for software decisions.
Right, the four C's.
Exactly. But this NMI piece adds a fifth C just for underwriting, and that's complexity.
So the complexity, it's layered. First off, you've got the sophisticated functionality required, meaning the system needs really robust logic for assessing risk. It has to sift through, vast amounts of data.
Looking for what specifically?
All sorts of things. Simple entry errors, data that doesn't match up, risks tied to the business model itself, their history, and it needs to balance making decisions quickly with giving the risk teams the tools to spot trends and keep refining things.
That makes sense. You need speed, but also that deeper analysis capability.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then there's the automated scoring and reporting,
Yes.
turning all that analysis into something usable.
Like a simple risk score.
Yeah, a score, plus clear risk flags, maybe even recommending what an underwriter should do next. Actionable insight is key.
Got it. And compliance comes in here too, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. Verifying identity, spotting weird patterns, and doing it in a way that, passes with regulators and partners during audits.
Okay, so that's the internal functionality, but the article mentions integrations too. These systems don't work in a vacuum.
Not even close. They need to talk to a whole bunch of other systems. Think about underwriting databases, KYC, AML, sanctions lists, credit bureaus, fraud data.
Right.
Then there's open source intelligence. Stuff like Google business listings, online reviews, IP fraud checkers, official business registries, sometimes even analyzing images. And don't forget the CRM. Underwriting decisions need to flow back there seamlessly so everyone's on the same page in real time.
It's a web of connections, and the risk itself isn't static, is it? The environment changes.
Constantly. That's another layer of complexity. Risk evolves. Merchant behavior changes, fraudsters get smarter, rules change.
So the system needs continuous monitoring.
You need ongoing checks on existing merchants, plus regular updates to the risk engine, the features, the compliance rules. You have to stay ahead.
And it's not just internal pressure. What about partners? Upstream processors?
Yeah, the article brings up partner expectations. They have their own standards for underwriting quality, accuracy, KYCML documentation, and keeping up with different partners potentially shifting requirements manually. That gets complicated fast, and off-the-shelf solutions often built to handle that variability more easily.
Okay, and the final piece of this complexity puzzle, the stakes involved. They're high.
Very high. Get underwriting wrong, and you could be approving merchants involved in sanctions evasion, serious fraud. The financial hit can be enormous.
The article stresses that building this requires more than just good coders, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It requires deep, specific expertise in identifying and preventing those critical risks. Getting it wrong could have really severe consequences for the business.
So given all that complexity, the functionality, integrations, evolving risk, partners, high stakes, the argument leans towards buying for many companies.
Yeah, the NMI article makes a strong case that for, say, smaller acquirers, wholesale ISOs, payment facilitators, buying often makes more practical sense.
Why is that? What are the
Yeah.
main drivers?
Well, first, that specialized risk and compliance expertise we talked about. Most companies just don't have that deeply embedded in-house. It's not their core business.
Building that capability would be a huge undertaking.
Huge. And risky, considering the regulatory side. Plus, there's often pressure to get improved underwriting up and running quickly.
Speed to market.
Exactly. Off-the-shelf solutions deliver immediate benefits, speed, efficiency, often cost savings compared to a long build.
And the article suggests good options are already out there.
Right. Powerful, flexible solutions exist that are designed specifically for the payments world. Why reinvent the wheel, especially such a complex one?
Plus, you get ongoing updates.
That's a big one. When you buy, you typically get access to continuous innovation. The vendor handles keeping up with new threats and requirements. That's often included.
Takes that burden off your internal teams.
Completely. The article mentions NMI ScanX and MonitorX as examples of these kinds of systems.
Right. ScanX is positioned for the initial application processing, making it faster.
Yeah, they talk about processing apps potentially up to 10 times faster. It uses Over 100 pre-configured checks pulling from top data sources.
And it has that risk engine doing the scoring and flagging.
Helps underwriters make consistent decisions faster. And it automates a lot of that data gathering and verification work.
Sounds efficient. And MonitorX is for the ongoing part.
Yes, that's about continuously monitoring merchants already on your books, looking for changes in processing, KYC data, behavior, basically new risks popping up after onboarding.
Which closes that loop on managing risk throughout the merchant lifecycle.
Exactly. Catching things early is always better.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive, spurred by that NMI article, really highlights just how complex and critical automated underwriting is.
Definitely complex, definitely high stakes.
And while building might work for the absolute largest players with huge resources,
A very small group, realistically.
for most others, the argument for buying seems pretty compelling. You get the expertise, the speed, the ready-made features.
It brings up a fundamental question for you, the listener. Where does your company's core competency really lie? Is it in developing highly specialized risk management software? Or is it in using the best tools available to strategically manage merchant risk and grow your actual business?
That's the key takeaway. Choosing the right path for your underwriting solution isn't just a technical decision, it's a strategic one that can significantly shape your success and security going forward. All right, thanks for joining me for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.